If there was one thing my family loved more than ham on holidays, it was a good oil ceremonial toast. Every Thanksgiving, every Christmas Eve, even the occasional Labor Day barbecue, if the wine was flowing early, someone would stand up, glass in hand, and say it. To the ones who made us proud. And like clockwork, the glasses would clink, everyone would smile, and my name would go unmentioned. No. Here's to Liam for working double shifts to pay off his student debt. No, to Liam, who's been holding down 2 jobs and still shows up with a pie. Not even a, "Hey Liam, thanks for driving Grandma to her eye surgery that one time." Nope. Just Daniel, my brother, and once, hilariously, even our cousin Caitlin, because she didn't cry when her yoga studio closed. Me? I was the emotional furniture. Present, useful in theory, but no one ever paused long enough to notice me, unless I forgot to bring rolls or showed up wearing a hoodie that wasn't Ralph Lauren. I grew up in a house where expectations came in 2 flavors. Gold-plated for Daniel, our firstborn lawyer-turned-venture capital golden boy. And budget plastic for me, the scrappy one, who always figured it out eventually. I used to think it was just me being dramatic. Like maybe I was imagining the way Dad's face lit up when Daniel mentioned a new client, or how Mom's eyes glazed over the minute I brought up my plumbing certification. But then one year, Daniel got a standing ovation for redecorating his office. I'd literally fixed our parents' broken water heater the month before, saved them $2,000, and I got a pat on the back and half a deviled egg shoved in my direction like I was the help. That night, I drove home, alone, of course, in my old Ford truck that coughed like a smoker every time it hit 3rd gear, thinking, maybe they'll never be proud of me. And maybe, just maybe, that was their loss. At 27, I stopped going to family holidays. No dramatic exit. No. You don't appreciate me. Speech. I just stopped RSVPing. Blocked the family group chat. Let them toast in peace. Instead, I worked. Built my little plumbing business from scratch. Fixed sinks, installed boilers, unclogged nightmares. Started getting repeat clients. Then referrals. Then one day I found myself signing the lease to a 2-bedroom townhouse with actual hardwood floors and a dishwasher that didn't sound like it was grinding gravel. And for once, I didn't want to share it with them. But I did want to celebrate. So I planned something small, a non-holiday holiday. I called it Friendsgiving, but for the overlooked. And only invited people who'd seen me, really seen me, during the years no one else did. Co-workers. A barista who once covered my coffee when my card got declined. My friend Claire, who helped me set up my website. Joe and Malik from across the hall, who always said, "Hey boss man," when I came home late. We planned it like a real event. Potluck style. Spotify playlist. Matching mugs I ordered online with "Proud of Me" printed in bold Comic Sans. And just for fun, just because it felt right, I hung a sign on my door that read, "Private event. Invite only. No toasts for strangers." That was supposed to be it. Until my Aunt Sharon saw Joe's Instagram story. And suddenly, the ones who never invited me to their table started banging on mine. I didn't expect the night to feel warm. Not just temperature-wise, although Malik did crank the thermostat like we were aging cheese, but emotionally. Like the kind of warmth you only get when no one's judging your job title or silently counting how many years it's been since your last real accomplishment. We had 12 people crammed into a space meant for 6, but no one cared. Joe brought the wine. Malik brought a Bluetooth speaker and a playlist called "Cured My Seasonal Depression." Claire showed up late with pecan pie and 2 friends from her art collective who complimented my kitchen tile like it was a gallery piece. There wasn't a single forced smile, no. Let's not talk politics. Warnings, and not one person said the words networking opportunity. Just people who had shown up when I needed them, and now, I gotta show up for them. We played a game where everyone had to give a toast, but the rule was, it couldn't be about anyone who had ever made you feel small. So we toasted to the roommates who left encouraging sticky notes on bathroom mirrors, the baristas who learned our names before our orders, the co-workers who covered our shifts during mental breakdowns disguised as bad colds. And then, out of nowhere, Jo looked straight at me and raised her glass. To Liam, she said, with zero irony. The man who unclogged my sink, fixed my radiator, made us all feel safe, and still managed to throw a better holiday than half the people who raised us. The whole room raised their glasses. To Liam. I blinked fast. Not because I was gonna cry, okay, maybe a little, but because I wasn't used to the spotlight without the burn. No backhanded compliments. No underhanded jabs. Just appreciation. It hit me then, hard, how every past holiday with my family had been a performance. I'd show up with my little grocery store pie, sit in the corner chair, get maybe 5 words in, and watch everyone else toast to accomplishments I'd never been allowed to have. But here, at my table, I wasn't the afterthought. I was the reason the table existed. After dessert, Claire's friend made a pumpkin cheesecake that deserved its own Netflix special. We moved to the living room floor, sat cross-legged, played a chaotic round of highs and lows, where people shared the best and worst parts of their year. My low? Having to snake a drain while the client's parrot yelled stupid at me every 10 seconds. My high? This. No one asked what I meant. They just nodded. And that silence, that understanding, was louder than any toast I'd never gotten. Jo snapped a group photo before the night ended. Everyone squished together, cheeks red from wine and laughter, holding up their proud of me mugs like trophies. She posted it the next day. Caption: Real ones only, yellow heart, #chosen family, #Liamsgiving. No location tag. No names. Just the photo. I didn't even notice it had gone up until the next week, when Jo casually said, "Your Aunt Sharon has a weird habit of lurking my stories, by the way." I blinked. Wait, she follows you? She used to follow my business page. I think she forgot to unfollow. She shrugged. I wouldn't worry. I didn't tag anything. But if she saw it? Jo smiled over her coffee. Well, then I hope she enjoyed the view. The first ping came while I was elbows deep in a busted garbage disposal on the south end of town. My phone buzzed in my back pocket, ignored it once, then again. On the third buzz, I finally wiped my hands on a rag and checked. One new message. From a number that had been deleted a long time ago. Hi, sweetheart. This is Mom. We saw your little celebration online. Hope you're doing okay. Red heart. That was it. No, how have you been? No, it looked lovely. Just that one passive-aggressive word tucked between saccharine sweetness. Little. I stood in that stranger's kitchen, holding a rusted sink pipe and laughing quietly to myself. Because of course they'd seen it. Jo's account wasn't exactly private, and Aunt Sharon had Instagram notifications set up like she was the NSA. And when one Carter sees, they all see. I didn't respond. Didn't even finish reading the emoji at the end. Instead, I dropped my phone on the counter and got back to work. Because unlike their opinions, this disposal was actually worth fixing. Later that night, I told Jo. She didn't look surprised. The emoji killed me, she said. Nothing says I'm totally not bitter like a forced heart. Malik snorted. Next comes the accidental FaceTime. But it didn't come right away. For a few days, it was just silence again. Then, a Facebook friend request. Daniel. Of course. I stared at it for 5 seconds before deleting it faster than a cursed email. I could already hear his voice in my head. Dude, just wanted to reconnect. We were kids, man. Can't we move past it? Like I was supposed to forget a decade of condescension just because he clicked. Add friend. A day later, Claire sent me a screenshot. Aunt Sharon's Facebook status. Families should never have to find out things through social media. The comments were gold. Preach! So true, Auntie Brokeheart. Some people just want attention. Joe texted underneath. Should I comment a turkey emoji or nah? I left her on read, mostly because I was torn between laughing and punching drywall. But still, I didn't respond. I didn't explain. Because the truth was, I didn't owe them one. This was the first year I hadn't reached out, hadn't apologized for existing with a job they didn't understand, hadn't tried to squeeze into a seat at their table hoping to be tolerated for a few hours before they went back to pretending I didn't matter. And the part that scared them most? I hadn't disappeared into bitterness. I'd built something better. The following Sunday, I got a knock at my apartment door. Not a text. A literal knock. I paused, mid-spoonful of leftover Joe's mac and cheese, and peeked through the peephole. And Sharon. Holding a pie. The same pie I used to bring to Thanksgiving every year. Except now, it was store-bought. And I could already guess what was coming. I didn't open the door. I didn't even breathe loud. She knocked again, a little softer. Liam? I know you're home, sweetie. Can we talk for just a sec? I stared at the door like it was a time machine. Like if I opened it, I'd be pulled back into that version of myself who sat quietly at their table and laughed at jokes that hurt, and swallowed pride like dry turkey. I couldn't do it. Not again. She slipped something under the door and walked away. It was a folded card that read, "We missed you at Thanksgiving. Let's not make this permanent." I stared at it. Then tossed it in the junk drawer next to old takeout menus and expired coupons. Because maybe for once, I got to choose what was permanent. It came from a burner number. Okay, probably not an actual burner, but it felt like it. 3 days after the pie on the porch stunt, I got a text at 9:02 p.m. Just 2 words. Nice place. No punctuation. No name. Just that. I knew exactly who it was. Not Aunt Sharon. She would have sent a gif of a dancing turkey or something equally passive-aggressive. This was colder. Straighter. Like someone trying to sound casual after rehearsing it for half an hour. Daniel. My thumb hovered over the screen. For a second, I almost replied with something sharp. A joke. A mirror. But I didn't. Because I already knew what this was, the feeler. He was fishing. Trying to see how open the door was. Whether I'd swing it wide or just crack it enough for him to slip through. I left it on read. Next day? A knock at the plumbing office. I was working with Malik that afternoon. We'd just finished unclogging a restaurant's ancient grease trap that smelled like expired regret, and I was wiping down tools when I saw him. Daniel. In person. Wearing some too-tight polo shirt, aviator sunglasses, and that look, the one that always said, "I'm about to make this about me." "Liam," he said like we just bumped into each other at Whole Foods. "Daniel," I replied, not even bothering to get up. "Did you lose a bet?" He smiled fake. That kind of PR grin he used when Dad made him network at church picnics. "Can we talk?" "We're talking now." He shifted. "Privately?" I glanced at Malik. "Nah, he's good. He's seen me scrub toilets. I think we're past secrets." Daniel didn't laugh. He took off his sunglasses like he was about to give me grave news. I just wanted to say, "I get it. Okay? You've made your point. We ignored you. You felt excluded. It was wrong. But this whole thing, the party, the social media digs, the blocking, it's a little dramatic, don't you think?" There it was. The Daniel default, dismiss the hurt, then reframe it as my overreaction. Dramatic? I repeated. He nodded. Come on. Family's messy. We screw up. But you're punishing all of us like we didn't grow up in the same house. Right. I said. Except growing up in the same house doesn't mean we had the same experience. Liam. You got applause for breathing. I got asked to take out the trash before dessert. Silence. Then he said the phrase he thought would fix it all. We were just kids. No. I said, wiping grease from my hands. We're adults now. You knew I was never invited to give a toast. You knew Mom and Dad never asked about my life unless it made them look good. And you? You let them. Every single time. He looked genuinely stunned for a second. Like the words actually pierced his perfect little image of how the world saw us. You think I didn't want things to be different? He said. I didn't choose to be the favorite. You sure wore it well. Malik made a quiet, yikes, sound behind me. I ignored it. Daniel sighed. Look, I'm not here to fight. I just wanted to say I see it now. Everything you've done. It's impressive. You've built something solid. We're proud of you. We. There it was again. The collective voice of the Carter family, trying to reabsorb me the moment I became useful. I don't need your pride, I said. His jaw twitched. Then what do you need? I looked him straight in the eye. Nothing. He blinked. Once. Twice. Seriously? Yeah, I said. Seriously. I've already got what I need. A life that isn't built on backhanded compliments and photo ops. People who see me, not the version of me that makes them feel less guilty. Daniel stepped back like I'd pushed him. Then he nodded, slowly. Well, guess you really have changed. No, I said. I just finally got the mic. He didn't say goodbye. Just turned, walked out, and disappeared behind tinted glass windows and Elise Mercedes. I didn't watch him leave. Because for once, I wasn't the one being left behind. It came in the form of an email. Subject line: Holiday Celebration Christmas Tree Sparkles. From Carter Family Group at Outlook.com. Because nothing says emotional sincerity like a shared Outlook address. The message was short, probably written by my mom, proofread by Sharon, and hit send by Dad. Dear Liam, we're having a small Christmas brunch this year. Would love for you to stop by, no pressure. Just family. P.S. Daniel's bringing the new girl. You'll like her. Love. All of us. All of us. Not signed individually. No mention of what time. No address. Just that ominous phrase, like a sitcom cast trying to write off their mistakes in a holiday special. I didn't respond. But I did forward the message to Joe with the subject line: Guess who wants to just family me now? She replied 2 minutes later. I'm making a sign for your door. It'll say, no ghost guests. Chosen family only. I didn't block the email. I didn't need to. They'd already written me out of so many things: graduation dinners, birthdays, actual conversations, that one more silent refusal didn't even register anymore. But something about that line, Daniel's bringing the new girl. You'll like her. Sat with me. As if my presence was just a convenient accessory. A backdrop for their curated version of family unity. I could picture it now. Daniel standing by the mimosa bar, charming and polished. Mom clinking glasses. Dad doing his I'm a funny guy shtick. And me? Just a footnote. The afterthought who fixed the broken sink but wasn't invited to sit at the table. Again. Except this year, I had my own table. And that table? Was getting a serious upgrade. It started with a text from Malik. Bro. You ever think about hosting a real holiday party? Like, the kind where we actually celebrate us. We'd been tossing the idea around ever since Liamsgiving blew up on Joe's socials. People loved the vibe, casual, no pressure, heavy on the comfort food and light on emotional landmines. So we picked a date, December 23rd. The idea? The uninvited feast. Invite only. For every friend who ever got left off a guest list, forgotten during gift exchange, or made to sit at the kids' table at 27. Claire designed the invites. Malik handled the playlist. I handled the food, with a menu sourced from everyone's comfort childhood dish they were never allowed to make at family holidays. And me? I rented out a small event space just outside town. The one where Daniel once had his engagement party. The one I wasn't invited to. Petty? Absolutely. Therapeutic? Also yes. I didn't post about the event. Didn't blast invites on socials. But somehow, by the 20th, I got another email. Subject: Let's not be strangers this Christmas. From Mom. Directly this time. Liam, I understand you're hosting some sort of event. Sharon mentioned seeing something online. I just want to say, I know things haven't been perfect. But we don't want to lose you. Maybe next year we can all celebrate together like old times? Love. Mom. There it was again. That subtle rewrite. Like the past had just been, not perfect, not decades of silence, dismissal, and being served the emotional leftovers of their love for Daniel. And this mention of, like old times. Which old times, exactly? The ones where they forgot my birthday. Or when Dad said, "You'll always be more of a worker than a thinker." I closed the email. Didn't respond. But I did open a Word doc. Typed up something simple. Something honest. Printed it out on cardstock. Folded it in thirds. Slipped it into an envelope with my name written in block letters. On the night of the uninvited feast, I taped that envelope to the front door of the venue. Just in case they showed up. Inside it said, "To the ones who toasted without me. I made my own table. And it's full." There's a very specific kind of joy that comes from hosting something without obligation. Not to impress. Not to make peace. Just because it feels right. The venue was perfect. Exposed brick, soft lighting, big windows that made everything feel warm even in winter. We had space heaters buzzing quietly, folding tables covered with mismatched tablecloths, and a crooked homemade banner over the bar that said, "You're worth a toast." Jo brought her famous mulled cider. Malik wore a Santa hat unironically and DJ'd from his phone like we were at Coachella. Claire handed out little gift bags filled with handwritten affirmations and cheap candy. No one asked about jobs. No one judged anyone's outfit. And for once, I didn't feel like the emotional support sibling. I felt like the host. People started sharing stories, not just surface stuff, but real things. Moments when they felt invisible at family tables. Times they weren't picked. Forgotten birthdays. Passive-aggressive aunts. Micromanaging dads. And as they talked, I realized something that kind of broke my heart. I wasn't the only one. Far from it. The whole room was full of people who had once been almost invited. Almost appreciated. Almost enough. And now? We were all exactly where we were supposed to be. I was pouring cider when Claire tapped me on the shoulder. "Hey," she said quietly. "There's someone at the door." My heart dropped for half a second. I thought, stupidly, that it might be my mom. Maybe Sharon. Maybe even Daniel, holding a pie like a peace treaty. But it wasn't. It was Grandma. My dad's mom. The one person in the family who had never treated me like background noise. The one who used to slip me $10 bills and say, "Don't let anyone tell you fixing things isn't a gift." She was standing on the steps, wrapped in her big beige coat, holding one of the old casseroles she used to bring to every family Christmas. "Hi, sweetheart," she said, eyes soft. "You didn't invite me. But I saw the sign." I blinked. "Who told you where to find it?" She smiled. "Daniel. He's a loud phone talker." That caught me off guard. I let her in. No one stared. No one questioned it. She just walked in, handed her casserole to Malik, who immediately called her an icon, and sat down like she'd belonged the whole time. Because she did. We talked for a while, mostly in the back corner over cider and cookies. She didn't make excuses for the family. Didn't try to guilt me into reuniting. She just said, "Some people spend their whole lives thinking the spotlight is theirs by default. You built your own stage. And I'm proud of you for that." I didn't cry. Okay, I almost cried. She patted my hand. "And just so you know, I saw that card you left on the door. I raised an eyebrow. You were here earlier? She nodded, peeked in the window. Didn't want to interrupt. That card? It's exactly what needed to be said. She pulled something from her coat pocket. A folded piece of paper. Your mom sent this, she said. Said if I saw you, give it to you. I hesitated. Then I took it. Didn't open it. Just slid it into my jacket. Will you be mad if I never read it? I asked. She shrugged. It's your piece to keep or give away. That night, as the party died down and people filtered out with full stomachs and fuller hearts, I stood in the middle of the room, surrounded by empty cups, crumpled napkins, and echoes of laughter. I looked at the card again. Then I walked over to the garbage and dropped it in, unopened. Because sometimes the best closure is knowing you no longer need their words to feel whole. I didn't post about the party. Joe did. Malik did. Claire posted a selfie with Grandma and captioned it. When your chosen family's grandma shows up and brings the good casserole. None of it was loud. None of it was, look at us, we're better than them. It was just joy. Documented. Shared. Real. The photos caught on. People reposted the banner. You're worth a toast. A small account that shared. Anti-cringe. Family Stories picked it up. Then another. I wasn't viral. But I was seen. A week later, I was sitting in my apartment, watching dust spin in a patch of morning light, when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Message preview. Hey, I saw the party photos. I sighed. Expected it to be someone from the extended guilt committee. But it wasn't. It was someone I hadn't heard from in over a decade. Jared, my cousin, Sharon's son. He was the only one who ever sat with me at family functions when we were kids. The only person who whispered, "This sucks," during one of Daniel's endless humble brags. Hey, I saw the party photos. Just wanted to say, that looked amazing. I always knew you'd build something real. Sorry for not saying anything sooner. I sat with that message longer than I expected. Didn't rush to reply. Didn't ignore it either. Eventually, I wrote. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. That was all. Because that's all it needed to be. The next message came from Daniel. Instagram this time. No words. Just a like. On a photo of the venue. The banner. The people smiling. I clicked on his profile. Scrolled. New girlfriend. New office. A video of him doing one of those TED-style talks titled, Making Room at the Table. The irony wasn't lost on me. But I didn't feel anger. Just distance. Like watching a rerun of a show I used to be in, before I knew how to write my own ending. Joe sent me a screenshot later that day. It was a Facebook post from my mom. Proud of all our kids, near and far. Some journeys take longer, but every path is beautiful. No tags. No names. Just enough vagueness to maintain plausible deniability. Malik said. That's what I call a drive-by compliment. Claire said. She wants you to respond. I didn't. Because when I needed pride, they gave me silence. Now that I had peace, they were offering noise. Later that week, I got a handwritten card in the mail. No return address. Inside it said, You were always worth a toast. I'm sorry we never said it out loud. The signature was smudged. But I didn't need to know who sent it. Because the truth was, the words weren't for the past. They were for the kid I used to be, the one who sat in the corner chair, waiting for someone to raise a glass and say, Hey, you matter too. And now? He was standing, holding his own glass. Surrounded by people who never needed a reason to be proud of him in the first place. It happened almost by accident. New Year's Eve. Joe hosted a tiny rooftop gathering, 10 people, blankets, a Bluetooth speaker running on 12% battery, and champagne that definitely came from the clearance shelf. Somehow, we started talking resolutions. Everyone went around sharing things like, drink more water, or Stop texting my ex when Mercury's in retrograde. When it got to me, someone said, "What about you, Liam?" I thought for a second, then raised my plastic cup to the ones who were never toasted. Everyone turned to the ones who sat through applause for people who never looked their way, who brought food and weren't thanked, who showed up every year quietly, hoping someone would notice, and when they didn't, still kept showing up for themselves. You're not just worth a toast. You're worth your own damn party. The rooftop went quiet for a second. Then everyone lifted their cups to us. And that was it. Not viral. Not dramatic. But real. In the weeks that followed, things got quiet again. The family emails slowed to a trickle. Daniel stopped liking posts. No more letters. No more guilt. Just silence. The kind I used to be terrified of. Now, it sounded like peace. One afternoon in March, I stopped by Grandma's house. She had a box of old photos for me, stuff from before things got weird. Before the toasts and the keeping score. As we sorted through them, she handed me one I'd never seen. It was me, maybe 10 years old, standing in front of a folding table at some Carter holiday event, holding a plastic cup. I wasn't smiling. Wasn't sad either. Just waiting. Funny, I said. I don't remember this. Grandma looked at it for a moment, then back at me. You were always waiting for your turn to be celebrated. I nodded. But not anymore. I framed that photo. Not to remember the waiting, but to honor how far I'd come from it. And every time I walk past it on the wall, I think of the banner. You're worth a toast. Not because someone else says so. Because you are.